quite like that intro. Good evening, everybody. It's a Saturday edition of Devil's Advocate, brought to you by the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. Host tonight is Reece. Yeah, I'm surprised that you'd get something better like Mark. I think his razor got broken. He forgot to host things. And of course, I'm joined by Andrew and I'm joined by Stuart. How are we, chaps?
Yeah, all good.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Obviously, Stuart is on mute, but he'll be with us in just a few seconds, of course.
What? There's always a clown, isn't there? There's always a clown. And tonight it's me. Yes, I was saying I'm okay. And then I'm probably better muting tonight anyway, Reece. You know what I'm like when I get on one.
Well, we're here for an hour, but I'm all right with your gift of the gab. I'm used to it. And that's how it works. I'm assuming it's logged in, of course, but I'm assuming it's Keen. Hello, mate. Hope you're good. And of course, tomorrow, Weekly Armchair Steel Talk, which is the wrestling podcast I host, will be on tomorrow after the Man United Brighton game, which of course we're here to discuss. If he's fighting fit, because he's not well at the minute, but hopefully he's feeling better tomorrow, Keen will be joining me. And of course, we'll be joining my co-host Ailey, so that'll be fun. But of course, tonight, we're not here to talk about wrestling. That's Sunday's work. We're here to talk about our pride and joy. We're here to talk about football. We're here to talk about Man United. And of course, there's fair bits of topics of discussion, lads. First of all, we may as well go through pre-season. Some very good performances, a little bit of mixed performances as well. I think that's expected with pre-season, but I think the most important question to ask is, instead of deep diving each one, we'll just go as a collective. Which performances stood out for you? Who individually stood out, and who for you needs to improve? We'll start with you, Andrew.
Let's go. Probably the very first game against Liverpool. I was just surprised how well we played, especially that first half. One player in particular was Martial. I thought, who is this player? I thought I've never seen him run as much or try and press the opposition. I thought it's like a new player we've got, and obviously he's not going to be playing tomorrow because of injury, but I just felt like he was just getting going. I was like, finally we might actually see the real Anthony Martial stand up. So definitely that Liverpool game, because always nice beating the Scousers, whether it's a friendly or not, and hopefully in a couple of weeks' time we do it again to them, especially after what happened at Old Trafford last season, which I don't want another repeat of. But I think in terms of the whole pre-season, I think Ten Hag, when he came in, he might have just feared, inherent in a group player that are unwilling to take on board his ideas and put on in the hard yards, but that hasn't been the case. Everyone seems to be so receptive to what he's doing, and the players coming out in the interview saying they're enjoying, life under the new boss. So they seem to be enjoying a new lease of life. Obviously, the last few friendlies have been a bit much harder going, but I think Ten Hag will have learned a lot more from those performances, from like the very first couple of ones. So I'm just thinking from last season, it didn't take a great deal to knock our confidence, and nobody was really responding well when Rangnick came in. So and obviously he was written off as the interim manager. So from looking at what Ten Hag and seeing him on touchline, he's restored that authority to the dressing room as well. Even dropping one player we still don't know who that is twice for turning up late. So he got, wasn't even the squad. So, and obviously there's been those clips online, giving dressing downs. And I think there's one where it was David De Gea was shouting at him, why have you passed that ball out? Why didn't you get out rather than play it short? But the players in return during the pre-season, they've trusted in the process. The upcoming season, there's going to be a few bumps in the road, but it's just how we react to that. And, let's say I'm optimistic for the season going into it.
I think it's good to be optimistic, and I do agree with some of the things you did say there. And obviously, I know for a fact one particular comment you just brought up, I know for a fact Stu's head lit up like a kid at Christmas. So, Stu, I know exactly what comment definitely made your alarms bell. So before I ask the same question I asked Andrew, you want to get your input on that one? I know exactly what comment.
Well, actually, to be honest, Reece, I'm going to give a bit of a different viewpoint on it as per usual. I'm
shocked.
I know. I think Andrew's articulated it absolutely brilliant. But what I've noticed about pre-season in the last few years in terms of football is it really pre-season anymore? Are these players actually coming back from an 8-week break? Which when I was playing, that's what I had. So it's a very interesting subject and probably name for it now, because pre-season no longer exists in my eyes. Because what did Harry Maguire have off 3 weeks?
Something like that, and then it's straight into playing this pre-season tournament. Yeah,
he's straight into it. Some of the lads had 4 weeks off because they went on international duty. So Harry Maguire was virtually playing throughout the summer, took 2-3 weeks holiday, and he's come back. You don't lose anything in 3 weeks, not an elite level footballer. So what Andrew's picked up on is absolutely perfect, is buying into a new way of doing things, being able to adapt to that new way of doing things.
Yeah.
And whether or not that the players have got the balls to take on board a new way of doing things. And
naturally,
we're fair to say that because of the debacle that we had last season.
Yeah.
And so Andrew articulated it brilliantly. So I always look at it, and I've been thinking about this for a while, pre-season no longer exists. It's a money spinning exercise before you play your first game of football. What really interested me about pre-season was Martial. He was absolutely right, Andrew. It's Martial. I thought I saw a different, steely-eyed player that maybe we saw 3 years ago. 4 years ago, and he's got that. He looked like he got that determination, and that fire seemed to be burning bright in his eyes. It almost looked like the devil had sorry to use your hashtag there, but the devil had kind of was reborn inside him because his finishing was relatively clinical.
That's what this is for. This is for inspiration.
Yeah, it was relatively clinical at times. And I always talk about, and Andrew's heard me talk about this a million times. I talked about instinct in the 6 yard area, and in the 9 yards that you operate in as a central striker. Can you make that movement? Can you have that split second dash across the box before anybody else that gives you that ability to put the ball away? And he's shown that, and he's got that composure. However, did we really improve in pre-season? We didn't. No, if you look at the smashing the Scousers to shit in the very first game, we didn't really improve. I'm not saying we regressed, but I'm not necessarily think we improved. Although we beat Perth Glory 4-1, and we beat that 3-1 after that. Was it Palace? We beat Palace 3-1.
And then obviously there was
then we lost to Athletic. Yeah.
The loss.
Villa and the draw. Yeah, Villa, Athletic, and then Vallecano. So these weren't great results, but you never put anything too much in pre-season anyway. You are looking at the players to purely adapt. And Andrew's heard me say this until he's blue in the face as well. Application and adaptation, and that's what I think we've seen, Reece. I think we've seen application and adaptation.
I think one other thing is this preseason has told us, and I do agree, like preseason isn't what it used to be, because you see a lot of teams going out there now, like they're competing in one-off games and then they're winning a trophy. I mean, we lifted the Bangkok Century Cup, whatever it is. Tottenham.
What a trophy!
I like the look of it. Tottenham are lifting like a memorial trophy. Like, it's these sort of things. Like, it has that impact. Hell, I'll get to your comment in a second. I'm just going to finish what I'm saying here, and then I'll bring your comment up. Is you realise that some players are missed. Look at our opening 2-3 games. What was it? Jadon Sancho, in terms of contribution, we scored 10 goals.
Yeah.
From 3 games, we scored 10 goals purely from Sancho, involved, whether being scoring a goal or an assist or leading to the creation of it. And then once he got ill, the numbers dropped. And I think that signifies he is the one player that pretty much everybody within the Man United fan base, we all thought would be the main improvement, the one player who would tear up trees this year, because last year, quote unquote, in the nicest way, for the first half of the season, and I know he would, for the first 6 months he sucked. He sucked for the first 6 months, and I don't disagree. I don't think anyone can disagree with me on that. But the second half, he was starting to build the way we expected. He'd done at Dortmund, he was building improvements, got in there. His agility was affecting in games where he was beating defenders. Wasn't all about technically brilliant skill moves or using us unlike other technical players, he was using his agility and his intelligence to beat players, and then it would lead to a goal contribution, or at times a goal contribution. We were very rarely scored enough goals in the second half of the season, but we were still making chances. We weren't prolific. Pre-season, we were seeing that from Sancho, and I think that's a reflection from him that he is the biggest miss, and that's something that Ten Hag is trying to find. He's trying to get goals and assists from other areas of the pitch. It's why we're in the market, to get another attacker because of Sancho.
Yeah, therein lies my thought process, because people can talk about Ronaldo to the blue in the face, get rid of him, blah, 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 blah. But how do you replace 20 goals a season? Now, Andrew's really good with his stats. So Ronaldo scored 20 goals or 18 Premier League goals, didn't he?
24 competitions, 18 goals in the league.
Yeah. Okay. Who is our next best contributor goals-wise?
Assist-wise, I think it was Fernandez. Goals, it was one player who should not be named. He was actually one of the most prolific players with 5, I think. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the next best goal scorer was 6 or 7. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Rashford, but it was up there. It was significantly. It was poor, like in terms of that.
So there you go. So you've got potentially a 12-goal gap.
Yeah,
12-goal gap. So where would we be without? People can talk about Ronaldo as much as they like, but you've got to understand the basics of football. And if you haven't got anyone there, and I talk about the one shot, one goal mentality. I was brought up this way throughout my coaching. People always say you might get one shot on target. You might be battered for 89 minutes in a game, absolutely battered. But you get that one chance and you put it away, and they don't score. That's it. Ronaldo offers you that. He offers you that chance, that get out of jail free card, and it's imperative. Unless we get, and I don't know a 20-goal a season striker that we can go out and get. Sesko's not going to do it. Don't anyone come on here and tell me he is, because nobody was talking about Sesko 5 weeks ago. Nobody had heard of him unless you were playing Football Manager. Don't talk about Frankie de Jong, because 18 months ago people weren't talking about the kid. Nobody was talking about Frankie de Jong coming to Manchester United. Now all of a sudden he's our saviour. There's more to it than that. So we've got to make sure that the way he does it, and if Ronaldo doesn't play, and I'm sure we'll go on to this in the second half of the show,
we will be,
then it's going to be very, very, very interesting. One other standout performer, by the way, again, I'm going to get pelters for this, Maguire.
Yeah, by all means, yeah.
I thought Maguire was excellent. They've moved him across to the right side, if you've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Not alongside, he hasn't played alongside Martinez, remember? So they put him on the right side. He's a right-footed player. He looks so much more okay, he made the odd error. I mean, look, the goal against Perth Glory, he got absolutely pelters for it. Absolutely pelters. But people forgot it was Shaw. Woefully out of position. Lindelof had to come and cover it. Didn't cover the cross. Dallo was jogging as usual, and the cross was brilliant. And Maguire was slightly out of position, 10 yards out of position, and Heaton was on his goal line. So there's a multitude of issues on that particular one. So I thought Maguire was pretty good. I don't know what Andrew thinks, but I thought Maguire was pretty good pre-season.
Come to that in a moment. Sorry, Andrew. I just want to bring up this comment, actually, just to reflect on Hella, because she made a very good point that the boys hardly go on a 4-week piss-up anyway. They've posted lots of workout stuff while on holidays. Exactly. They are stuck in, and they are working on it, and they've proven it. But by all means, Andrew, sorry, cutting now. On you go. By all means, on you go.
I think it's only right we put our faith in Maguire. I mean, when Ten Hag, officially started, one of his first acts was to say, he still remains as the United captain, and that's been rewarded, with his composed performance during the tour, despite some, United Australian fans, some of them are booing him. So I don't know why, because I just think get behind the whole team. Don't just single out players just for the sake of it. I think Ten Hag's been vindicated by the show of faith as well, because Maguire's spotting the back line looks secure enough for now, despite his up and down form last season, and obviously the signing now of Martinez, and as Stu just mentioned, shifting from the left to the right hand side of the centre of defence just to better accommodate Martinez. I mean, I think against Atletico Madrid he went with Lindelof and Maguire, and so back to the first choice duo of the last season. So with Martinez and Varane on the Sunday against Vallecano. So I think Ten Hag's quickly realised he's had to pick Maguire back up and restore his confidence. I mean, give him this run of games. And I mean, last season, I don't know. I think having that captain's on banner, I don't know if it was a bit of a burden for him. It was like he's trying to keep his performances as good, but when his form was not so good, it was like he's trying to get his confidence up, but then trying to help his teammates out as well. So I just think this season we might just see the very best of Maguire, and hopefully Ten Hag just keeps his confidence up, and that partnership with Martinez just flourishes as well. And obviously we've got Lindelof and Varane as essentially, well, I think might just be backups, but you never know. Throughout the season, there's going to be rotation, so
it's going to be interesting that position, isn't it? That those two, the chosen two, whoever they are, it's going to be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking, there's another two players where they're going to get sold, or if they stay, there's Eric Bailly and Phil Jones sitting there as well. We've got 6.
Isn't Jones going to DC United? If I heard that right.
Rooney's after him, but I don't know if anything concrete came through in terms of an offer. But I know DC United are definitely after him. Rooney wants him, there's experience. And to be fair, I don't actually blame him. I know Phil Jones had the worst record in recent years in terms of injuries, but he will put a shift in. I'm not Phil Jones' biggest fan, but I won't deny his work ethic. Just like I'm not a big fan of Maguire, but Maguire's actually had a fantastic pre-season. And I hope that does more for him in terms of confidence. And I certainly to stand by that. And Hella, again, in the same comment, who wasn't up and down last season? The Maguire agenda is getting ridiculous.
Exactly right. Exactly
he still
right.
shows up to work every day. Yeah, he does show up to work every day. I do agree. There is 12 people watching. Guys, get your comments in. Get suggestions, like questions. I'm sure that Stu and Andrew would be more than willing to answer any of your questions. They are very good, articulate lads. They're also sound as hell. Normally, I would say sound as F, but I promised Keane I would stop swearing. But all in all, like even myself, like I will answer any questions. But also hit like, share, and subscribe, and give these guys a follow on their socials, which of course are on screen. Would be most appreciated. But on the back of that, though, there is one thing I really do like to ask. Okay, this is a comment I'll have to bring up first. Bailly is off to Sevilla, I believe. He'll kill them all. Yeah,
I've heard that because the Tellers one came out for me, it came out of the blue.
That's a great move, I have to admit. That's a great loan move because he'll get consistent European football. Bailly, if he stays fit, he'll also get good football as well. In a tough league, that'll force him to stay fit.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
I was just thinking, Ten Hag's thinking with Malacia and Shaw, they're the chosen two to either one of them is going to start with. It's going to leave Tellers sitting on bench most of the season or not even in the squad. So let him go and get that game time. And then obviously it's just loan only. No, say he'll come straight back. So there's no like permanent deal at the end of it. So we'll see how he gets on. And then
there's no buy on, is there? No sell.
No, just straight loan and that's it.
I will be surprised though if when he plays in Seville, because we've already seen him do it a few times already in pre-season. I wouldn't be surprised if Lopetegui continues what Ten Hag did, because he's already got Acuna as left back. I wouldn't be surprised because Carlos is gone, Koundé is gone. I wouldn't be surprised if Tellez is used as a left-sided centre back and try and develop him as a centre back and see how it goes. I wouldn't be surprised. And to be fair, the way he played with the ball, like I thought he was actually, when he played with Bailly, I thought he was the better of the two.
Yeah, he's very steady, wasn't he?
I think he'd be quite competent as a left-sided centre-back, but it really does depend really how he plays, or he plays him as the backup left-back to Acuna. There is an option there, but he also played in central midfield in one of the games as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Tellez has got very good versatility. I'm not an absolute fan of Tellez, but I do like him, and he is a hard-working player. He's just never really tore up trees at Old Trafford, but he does have capability to do something in a role because he does listen to a manager. He does do what he's asked. He's just not the best in his position at the club to do it. And at the minute, Shaw's a bit shaky, but he's got point to prove. Malacia's come in. He's the crowning jewel for the position, who I do believe will take the role permanently going forward.
Yeah,
it's more or less between those two. And Tellez, fourth, fifth choice, even in a centre-back position, third choice left back. At least he's went and got football. And at the end of the day, that's what's important to me, is to go out and get football. We are going to move on, because before I discuss with Frankie de Jong, who obviously Stu's brought up, I just wanted to ask you boys something. This is not agenda driven. This is not something I want to reflect. But I just wanted to ask in general, who for you in pre-season hasn't yet lived up? Who do you think, like, not sense of like tearing them down, but just like, like performances wise under Ten Hag, who they've played, say, more than 45 minutes, they've played 90-minute matches, or they've played 70 minutes. Who for you so far you think still looks like, yeah, you're not going to cut it, but maybe they could try and improve elsewhere? Who would you put on that?
Tough one. I'm just trying to remember all the players that played.
If you know where I'm coming from, though, I'm not trying to like bring anyone down in that sense. I'm just like, who do you think still a little bit like underwhelming?
I'll jump in. I think McTominay proved to me that he's just not going to cut it for us. He still went missing during games. His use of the ball wasn't brilliant. He looks lean, he looks strong, he looks big, and he's just not fulfilling any kind of potential that he's got. He could be an absolute brilliant holding midfield player if he used his brain. Okay, and he doesn't use his brain in football matches, and that's such a shame, because chances are conventional wisdom is going to suggest we're likely to go into tomorrow's game
with him in the field,
and we're like going, excuse me, sorry, Keane, Fred and McTominay again. We can't believe we're doing this 4 years down the line, can we?
Yeah,
4 years. We can't believe we're likely to be going in, and he just hasn't. The problem is he hasn't kicked on. He hasn't moved on from when he appeared in the squad. He hasn't improved. He hasn't improved his overall game. He can't play with his back to goal still. He hasn't got the wherewithal to hold the ball. He can't turn on the sixpence with it. There's a brilliant player back in the 80s called Jan Molby, Danish international. He used to operate purely in the centre circle, slightly out the centre circle, but his ability and his vision was amazing. He got no pace. He looked unfit all the time. He looked like he got a big belly. He was a strong boy, and he just made the best of what he got. And footballers today don't make the best of their attributes. You have to make the best of your attributes. And McTominay's attributes are getting stuck in. They're getting stuck in. He needs to change his game and become a disruptor. Disrupt the play, get the ball, and move it on. The end. That's all we need from you, because he likes it. He loves a tackle, doesn't he? We all know he loves a tackle. He likes to progress the ball, but can he go back? Can he step back? And can he take the ball, off a centre half, turn with it, and then do something with it?
I don't think he can.
The answer to that is no.
Yeah.
And so that's an issue. Second one, I do have one more. And
go for it.
Raphael Varane. I know he was injured a couple of times, but he's just not stepped up to the plate at all. He really hasn't. I don't know why. I don't know what's not clicking with him. Something isn't clicking with Varane, even in pre-season. He looked fit. He looked lean. He looked strong. Don't know.
Maybe
Vicky's going to kill me. On that one. Like I'm dead. But
he's trying to claim Martinez for me, so by all means, it's not happening. So
you've got to see it for what it is. And sorry, it's sounding like a broken record, but Andrew goes back 12 months, because I was on a show with him when we signed him, and he knew my thoughts then, didn't you, pal?
I did.
And I was the only one. And Reece, I got absolutely lambasted, didn't I? By the panel, the whole panel.
I've had shows with you Varane on separate channels, so so we've had that correlation, but it's always fair opinion, though. It's always fair. Like, you've always based it based on how you play as a centre back. So you're actually coming from it from a centre back position. You're not doing it from you just can't stand Varane, because that's completely inaccurate. You actually like Varane. You're looking at it from a centre back position. You want to see what he can do, and to be fair, I don't disagree. That's why I've said since the minute pre-season started out and he joined us, I was like, Martinez is our best centre back. He's our best defender. And I had no disagreements from people. And the minute you watched his first game, you actually realised, hold on. Now I see why. Because he's actually really good at his role. He's very disciplined.
Well, I'm sure
think Varane's hesitant.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to Martinez a bit later, but you're absolutely right. Those are my two. Anyway, that's who I
absolutely. Andrew, same for you, and then you can have this question as well from Hell. I'll let you have double.
I was going to say the player I think well, it's not really impressed. I think the future's looking bleak. Is Aaron Wan-Bissaka? I mean, his first season he was good with us, but he's not shown enough improvement since coming to us, and we paid 50 million for him. I mean, his attacking play has been below par. You know, when obviously getting down that right hand side, and it's often breaking down the attack, and then we was like becoming too predictable. You know, lopsided, and we was playing to more the left hand side because we knew we could attack better on that side, but. Some of it's not all entirely his fault, but generally Wan-Bissaka's, you know, he's trying to reimpose his opponents, so happy to see him in possession. I mean, he finished last season with no assists in these 20 Premier League starts. I mean, I'm thinking defensively, the top teams have started to figure him out. I think in his first couple of seasons, but those top teams couldn't. I remember I think was it the first season, City, when we played City played us at Old Trafford. I mean, he had literally Sterling in his pocket, and I was like, nothing could get past him. But I mean, in the last few seasons, he's struggled to see his crosses coming in towards his side, and he's been caught out with his positioning, especially against Liverpool and Man City as well. I mean, he was. When Ten Hag came in, I think he was hoping fresh start, but it doesn't look like it's been forthcoming. I don't think he's not started one pre-season game. I think he's only made 3 appearances from the bench, which is about 90 minutes in total he's played. I mean, Dalot and Ethan Laird have played more minutes than Wan-Bissaka, and I say, Laird could head out on loan. I don't say it's just if Laird is loaned, then United will probably expect to. I don't know whether we'll go out and pursue another right back, but it feels like Dalot has just got ahead of Wan-Bissaka now, and I expect Dalot is going to be the chosen right back for tomorrow's game as well, not Wan-Bissaka. So it's not perfect from Wan-Bissaka, but it's whether Ten Hag thinks there's enough there to work with him and get the best out of him. I just don't know.
I think he's actually taken that on board. I'm just going to say it's not limb. I think we all might be in agreement. We might not be in a disagreement, but I think we will get Timber after the World Cup. If not in January, I think I do believe Timber will be a night out.
I think we'll get Timber too, yeah.
Yeah, but I just want to go in the terms of Dalot. This is not point scoring, but he has actually point scored because, what was it, before he got loaned out to AC Milan, a comment was made about him by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying that he can't defend. Now, Dalot, to an extent, isn't the best defender, but he can defend better than Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
That's not hard, yeah.
But he's actually shown in this pre-season, his mind does wander. Like most people, his mind does wander. But you put him in a situation where he's back against the wall, he actually does put in a very good defensive shift. But it's just going forward, he needs to improve just a little bit. He is very good going forward, but it's his delivery for me that's still... I want to see a little bit more improvement from his delivery because I think he can link it really well with Sancho. Once Sancho plays more on that side, I think a partnership will form really well. But Wan-Bissaka, he's had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's had Michael Carrick for 3 or 4 games, he's had Rangnick for half a season, or 3/4 of a season to half a season, and now he's had Ten Hag for a pre-season, and he hasn't, I agree with Andrew, he hasn't pulled up, tearing up trees, like I said before, like earlier on, like I elaborated to a few players who haven't torn up trees. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is one of the same, and I do think he needs to go to a club that finds his level, and funnily enough, the club that makes sense for him is a club that wants him back, and that's Crystal Palace. I don't think they'll take him back, but I think it makes sense for him to go back to Palace. But on the flip side of that, I do think we will, if it's not January after Holland inevitably get knocked out of the World Cup, I do think it will be in January where you see Timber come to United. But I think he is like Ten Hag's like main one. Like we'll see how it goes, but I do think so. Yes, Hella, and I assume you lads are in agreement.
I see Timber coming in January. I think Andrew's right about Wan-Bissaka. I don't think he starts tomorrow. Absolutely no 2 ways about it. He doesn't start. What a sad state of affairs when you're choosing between Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. Yeah. Now, I think Wan-Bissaka on his day is as good as anybody when it comes to defending. One-on-one defending. He's as good as anyone out there. But his overall game has regressed so much. It's very difficult for me to see him squeezing his way back in front of Dalot. I think you're right, Reece, in as much as Dalot's good going forward. he shows patches of ability to defend, but his thinking process, his thought process, and his thinking time is just not right. For an elite footballer, it just isn't there, because I think it might help him. It might help him having Maguire alongside him, Maguire being on his stronger foot, Maguire being able to coach him and tell him where he needs him to be.
Yeah.
And an elite level right back, you should know that anyway. You should know where you need to be. You should know what you want to do when a winger is facing you. When somebody's running at you, you know, if he's left-footed, put him on his right foot as much as you can. Make him as uncomfortable as you possibly can. If he's right-footed, show him down the wing. You know, if you're going to cross, mate, you're crossing on your left. You ain't crossing on your right. These are basics of a fullback. Basics.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is by your positioning. It's how you position yourself so you're ready to, if you need to take two steps back to then turn to get into your stride, you need to give yourself that space to be able to do that. But at the same time, don't allow their player to attack you. So it's making that time, making that yardage correct, and it's a difficult thing to do. But once you get it and you get it right, you become a very difficult fullback to get past.
Yeah.
But I'm an old school fullback, you see. I play, centre half is my main position. I play fullback and centre midfield, so I can speak about all those three positions. And I know that once you get your positioning right, certainly as a fullback, and you've gone through the winger twice, you ain't gonna want to know anyway. And we just it's not hard enough. You gotta be tough. You gotta want to fight.
I think he's shown that a little bit recently in the pre-season games, but he has shown a little bit of fight, and I do agree. Like, I don't necessarily think he has to speed up, because I think based on what you were saying, I was trying to read between the lines. He just needs to slow himself down a bit.
Slow down, yeah.
And if he does, he'll become an incredible asset. We are going to push forward. I'm going to give this one to Andrew, because I know I've spoken about this more times than I can flame and count. And I know I've had this conversation with Stu before, so I'm going to give the complete floor to Andrew.
Yeah. He doesn't want to know.
I call this I think this is like the longest running saga since Star Wars. It's worse than Sancho.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Frankie de Jong. I'm going to give you a two-part question on this one, so literally the floor is yours, and then we're going to discuss Brighton. One, where are you at mentally with this deal? And two, what do you think United should do now regarding this? The floor is literally yours.
I think so. Oh, was it the other week somebody put it was changed down to Frankie de Long, because it was just this transfer is just taking forever. It just reminds me of Jadon Sancho, where we just pursued him for 2 years. Just in the case of Sancho, it was Dortmund that were dragging their heels, whereas this is the player dragging their heels. I mean, from what I was reading, United are not happy with the situation. I mean, we've got the agreement there with Barcelona. I think it's 63 million with upfront straight away with 8.5 million in add-ons. But we agreed the deal. I think it was last month. And we've just had no progress in it since. And De Jong is digging his heels in, and he doesn't want to leave Barcelona because he's owed, I think, 17 million in wages, because I think he agreed to take a deferment during COVID. And obviously, we've come out of COVID now and the lockdowns, and things are getting back to near normal. So he's like, I want my money now. I'm like, but it's just like, it's just frustration setting amongst us fans. But now the club, I'm just like, it's like, United have either got to come to a point where they're saying, well, look, this is dragging on too long. It's just like, we've got to walk away. We can't get in towards the end of the transfer window at the end of this month and we're going around trying to get another player, and then those clubs are going to go, oh, we can see how desperate you are. We'll just add another 5, 10, 15 million to the price. I mean, De Jong is a good player from what I've looked at him, and you can see United's determination. You could say United's determination is admirable in one way, but it's just, I don't want to, like with Sancho, it just gets dragged on and on and on. But it's just like, we're going to be starting the season with, McFred, so in the starting lineup, but it's like that midfield is still a bit of a concern, and it's like, if we had De Jong in there, it might if he does decide he wants to actually come and play for us. I'm like, if the players, if if you want to
Just
come
give
and
me
play for us,
immediate vibes.
yeah, if a player wants to come and play for us, that's great. If you don't want to come and play for us, go somewhere else or stay where you are. I want players that will give everything on the pitch for United. I'm just like, it's like, I think we're coming to, United are coming to a point where it's now or never with the Youngs. Like, we have to either move on and, get another option. But it's like, I think it's got to be better late than never for United. So it's just like, now is the time. I think we've got at least 4 more weeks of the transfer window. So it's just
Too long. Too long.
It's just move on
No.
and I don't know.
And this is free. This is 3 months, and obviously for yourself, we're not like we don't make decisions with Man United, but you give me like I'll be the one to adjudicate this in this way. I'll give you both a blank checkbook. 1, 2, 3 midfielders you want signed in the event that he just doesn't turn up. I don't think he's going to turn up. I know who I would prefer. I think United should just go and get 2 midfielders and then move on. But top down, Andrew then Stu, blank checkbook. If stick with De Jong or go and get alternatives. If it was up to you, what would you do? Andrew, go with you first.
I don't know. Knowing United, they'll stick this out. They'll try every possible way just to. They've come this far. I just don't think they're gonna. They don't want to concede. They're going to walk away. So I just think. I'm trying to think who else is out there, and I'm just thinking once they know United are interested enough that if we shelve the deal to De Jong, prices are going to go through the roof because we're asking for these players, and these players coming in like, well, I'm going to United now, I can ask for a little bit more money in wages, and I'm just like we're not, I just don't want to be handing like money out. Just we've done that in the past for players. We're giving them like high wage contracts and then they've not lived up to the what's the word I'm looking for?
Expectation.
Yeah, the expectation. I'm just thinking like Alexis Sanchez. I'm like one prime example. 500 grand a week, and it just divided the dressing room completely. I just think, I think United are going to drag this out. I'm just thinking I think when was it Richard Arnold and I think I'm trying to remember who else flew out to Amsterdam, get the Martinez deal done. They got it done within days. Why can't you just go out to Barcelona and just speak to Frankie de Jong and his agent in Barcelona, because it's agreed with the club. Speak to de Jong and get a feel from him and say, do you want to come or not? Are you willing to bypass this £17 million in money that you seem determined to have? Well, I'm just thinking, just speak to him and see what he says, and then if you can glean from that he wants to come, then keep pursuing it. If not, then just move on, and we'll see what else is out there. But I just can't think of anybody that comes to mind at the moment. It's
yeah, that's fine. That's completely fine. And I'll get the same for you in a second, Stu. I'm just going to say for Hella, would Ten Hag pursue a player for this long had he been told the player's not interested? The guy's extremely stubborn. I think even if he wasn't interested, he'd still keep going. That's what seems reflection of it. He's a very stubborn man. Like, I respect that. Like, it's good that he's stubborn, that he sticks to his principles, but it's also a bad thing that he holds on too long and he puts himself at detriment. It's a two-way street being stubborn. But for yourself, Stu, stick, or would you look elsewhere and get someone else in? What would you do?
Well, look, I've never been bothered about Frankie de Jong anyway. I think he's a great footballer. He's a great talent. But I've never been hugely bothered about him. If I had a blank check, I'd go and get Kimmich and Brozovic. Those would be my two. But I tell you, if we didn't have a blank check and there's somebody out there that we should be going for, it's Højbjerg at Spurs. Now, people don't like Højbjerg. I mentioned him on another show, and
he's brilliant.
Højbjerg, you must be joking, blah, 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 blah. And my response to that was, open your eyes and watch a game of football and not worry about the player and the name. Just watch what he does. And he's brilliant link up with, because he's Danish, isn't he, Højbjerg?
Yes, he is.
So he'd be a great fit for Eriksen. As a tandem, he would be perfect for us. We're not going to get him. His value since he's been at Spurs has absolutely skyrocketed. And we're not going to get him, but he would be my perfect midfielder because he can take the ball off his centre half, he can progress it, he can tackle, he can pass it. He would be great for us, would Højbjerg? But our fan base is not He's not. There's no star just sprinkled, is there? Unfortunately, on someone like him.
Whereas I like him. I like him a lot. Yeah, I think he's a really good player. Our resident Spurs fan, Steve McGrath, is watching us going right now, like, yes, a Spurs player finally gets mentioned with respect. All they want to steal him. Well, yeah, because he's a good player.
I think he's brilliant. In the Euros, I think it was the Euros.
He was the only Spurs player getting to the team of the Euros, wasn't he? He was the only Spurs player.
Yeah, he was. He identified they were getting battered by, I think it was France or somebody, and he identified, and he went to the gaffer and he turned around and said, "Look, we need to be doing this, and this," and they did it. And they went back and they came into the game. You got a player who will never hide. He'll take a booking. He's a bit of a liability sometimes, but people look at Granit Xhaka and think, "Oh, the guy's just a pure liability." But when he's on his game, Granit Xhaka, he's a really good, solid player. And I'm not comparing the two. That's not what I'm doing. I'm comparing personalities. But Højbjerg would be brilliant for us. He would tick us over. He would be the variety of PSG to Manchester United, because variety, he ticks PSG over. He gets the ball, he ticks them over. He gets the ball, he ticks them over. That's what I think he wants De Jong to do, to tick us over and get us moving. I think Højbjerg would do that.
I was going to say, just to add on that, I'm thinking two players that come to mind. Where if there was blank checkbook and we was able to get him, there's like Jude Bellingham at Dortmund and possibly Declan Rice at West Ham, but we do require like a quality number 6 and number 8. And I mean, no offense to McTominay and Fred, just the current crop of midfielders we got.
They are.
We've not been convinced. And I mean, they're decent players, but we feel like if we're going to compete for the trophies, the Premier League, then we need better players, especially now with Paul Pogba gone now. That lack of flair in the midfield as well. So it's just like just extra bit of quality there.
I'm a massive Fred fan. I do agree on that one.
Just a tiny bit of name dropping for you guys. Jude Bellingham's old man, Bello's coming on tour with us.
Sweet.
I know his dad quite well. You know his younger brother,
phenomenal.
Better than Jude. He's phenomenal.
He plays for Birmingham, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's a phenomenal player, Joby is, but just a small little name dropper there,
Try and get both at United, Joe and Jude.
I think Jude would be great for us. I fear, though, I fear in my heart of hearts he's going to the Skies, whatever.
It's the only time in football where I pray that Real Madrid get involved to stop the Scousers. Not in a football sense, but transfers if we don't try.
I would even like Barcelona to get involved on that one. Oh, just one other thing, by the way. Yeah, I did see. Yeah, why not? Why not? I did see yesterday that he is held. Yeah, he is. I did see yesterday that Chelsea had put an €85 million bid in for Frankie de Jong, didn't they, to cover his 17 million euro wages? But well, he's a moron, this Todd Bowley. He's going to be a problem for everybody at the minute.
Hear that, Sean Maroney? Your owner's a moron.
Yeah, he is. He's going to be a problem for everybody. He thinks he's playing Football Manager. He was right. Gary Neville was absolutely right when he articulated that. You can't go around playing Football Manager because he'll bankrupt the club. I know they're minted, that club, but you've got 5 owners in there, haven't you? To pay the 2.5 billion. It's not just a single owner. There's 5 owners, a bit leveraged, and I think the Saudis are involved somewhere along the line, aren't they?
I think they're invested. Was it Clear Lake? So they've got money in there, but they've got no,
official.
They've got something different now. They're so involved in football. Like, I'm not surprised. But in terms of name dropping, obviously you guys you've name dropped Bellingham, you've named Kimmich. Like, I would have heart attacks at 25 if we signed Kimmich. Brozovic I don't care what anyone says. Brozovic. I know you don't like this. I know you don't like this phrase, but I'm going to say, because I truly believe he is. I think Brozovic is world class. I think he is. I think he is that definition because he's proved it for the past 5-6 years. He is that consistent world class level. Kimmich for me is the best defensive midfield player in football. But in terms of, obviously, you mentioned Bellingham, you mentioned Declan Rice. I'm not a fan of Declan Rice, but even I can't deny he does the job. Jude Bellingham was phenomenal. If it was up to me personally, I'm looking at players, I'm looking at style, I'm looking at a player that can just sit in that position, can pass the ball, but he's very aggressive in the play. I would bring in Sangar from PSV. We've got the link with Van Nistelrooy as the manager. And another player I would actually sign, a little bit under the radar, but I think he's phenomenal, is I would bring in Fabian Ruiz from Napoli. I think he's a phenomenal passing player, and I think that's another one that makes sense. He does the same thing that De Jong does, except he does it in the Spanish team as well, like where it's expected. I think that'd be two great choices for us. And you've got Eriksen there as like it's a strong rotation. Fred can still do the job. McTominay, if need be, like I'm not, he doesn't chop up trees. But even if he was a bench player and he came off like the last 20 minutes, that's not a problem. Same with Fred, 20, 35 minutes, like that's enough. Like I'd be okay with that. It's strong style for me, and coming in straight away, I like this show. Like I wouldn't go for Anthony. I'd get Neto from Wolves. I've got no issue with that at all. Like I seen today as well that we were inquiring over Leroy Sané. That'd be crazy. Like if Bayern Munich let him go, like he's a bit.
Was that true?
Tom Hopkinson's the journalist that said it. I don't know legit if I'd be surprised if Bayern Munich let him go. I mean, they've got phenomenal depth in those positions. They've got Sadio Mane, they've got Kingsley Coman, Serge Gnabry, Thomas Muller, Jamal Musiala, Leroy, and Sané's on the 6 top-class players in that position, and the forward line as a front four. Don't get me wrong, I'd love Leroy Sané to come in, but I don't see that ever happening. I would not be opposed to it.
He's not scoring 20 goals, though, is he?
He doesn't score 20 goals, but at least he gets you, 10, 15 plus.
He'll create. He will create, yeah.
And then there's the Gakpo link as well. Like, it's crazy. I
don't know much about him. Where's that come from?
I'm not sure. I think it's just purely that it's somebody that he's played against with Ajax, but he's up against PSV. Like he was involved in the cup final, he was involved in the Super Cup like last weekend. But he's a left winger that plays for the striker role. If they do sign him, does that mean he's going to be competing with Rashford and then Sancho goes on the right? I don't know. Like for me, I want someone staple that is going to make a position his own. I like Gakpo. I think he's good, but he wouldn't be my first choice. I would go. I like Neto. I like that option. I think Ziyech is another one. He hasn't worked for Chelsea, but he fits Ten Hag's system. I'd go for Sané, but there's no way Bayern would do it. But I like Neto. I think that's a great suggestion from Keane. Phenomenal decision. And
I like Neto. Yeah, I like Neto.
And I'm going on a limb. If Wolves got rid of Neto, they don't get top 10. I think Podence is a good winger, but I think Neto is the best winger they've got. Yeah. And it was reflected last year by his injuries as well. They lost a lot of things from him. They lost creativity and they lost someone who can just pass the ball. And because Trincao couldn't do that if you gave him a lesson in a classroom, he can't do it. And I think that's another one. Great shout, Keane. Great shout. And I'm saying this now, just like Anthony, move on from him, move on from De Jong, move on from both because frankly it's a waste of time.
I think so.
Absolutely. But obviously, coming to the last 10 minutes, I think this is the best time to discuss them. Well, 11 and a half minutes or so. Yeah. Brighton. Really interesting game to kickstart the season. Just for yourself, lads, we're going to do it all in one. Like your thoughts on the game, your thoughts on Brighton's transfer business, like who they've sold. Obviously, 2 big departures. I want to get your thoughts on that and score predictions and possible lineup. So I'm going to come to you first, Stu, this time. So go through it. First of all, transfer business from Brighton. What's your thoughts on that one, and then how big of an impact do you think that's going to be for us tomorrow?
I think it's great for us. Transfer business. No Cucurella and no Basuma. I think it's brilliant. I'm not really sure Cucurella's a game changer, but Basuma certainly had the ability to be a game changer. But you can't underestimate a well-drilled, well-balanced, well-coached set of players. And that you can't. It's almost impossible when they're on their game. And that's what Brighton are going to give us tomorrow. They're going to come and they're going to be very, very difficult to beat, but they won't sit. They'll attack. They soak up pressure beautiful, and they're very, very quick. Players like Mope, players like Welbeck, Solly March, great delivery. Trossard. They're good, dangerous players. And when they're on their game and it goes right for them, they can beat us 4-0 as they did at their place. We are going to be way too strong for them tomorrow. And I think he knows that. And I think Graham Potter knows that tomorrow is not going to be his day. And if I was a Brighton player, I would know it's not going to be my day. If I'm a United player, I would think it's not going to be my day because I need to put myself in that mindset and that psyche that I'm up for a hell of a battle. I think it'd be a tight game. I think we'll win 1-0, maybe 2-0. And I don't think Ronaldo starts. So I'm going to give you who I would play.
Go for it.
And I'm going to shock a few people, but I would go with De Gea in goal, obviously. I would go with Shaw over Malacia just for the first couple of games. Let's get Malacia bedded in to watch Premier League football. Lindelof and Maguire, or Varane Maguire. I'm not so sure on Lindelof stroke Varane. I can't make up my mind.
Martinez on the bench for you?
No. And then, of course, we've got our good old friend Dallo, the Dallo clown at right back. So just for this game,
I'm getting that. Go on.
we haven't got Martial. We possibly haven't got Ronaldo. Maybe not. So I would put Martinez in as a holding player, and I would utilise him as a holding player.
All right.
That way I could get in. I would play Van der Beek and Eriksen. I would play Eriksen as a 10. Van der Beek off of Martinez. And then that would give me Bruno, Sancho, because I think Sancho's fit now, isn't he? Am I right in saying that?
I think he is okay to go, but I'm not sure if he's... I don't think he's fully up to speed, but he is at least there.
Yeah. So I that would leave me Rashford, Bruno and Sancho to play as a floating 3. That way, because if we haven't got Martial and we don't play Ronaldo, just hypothetically, we don't play Ronaldo, you've got to utilise your squad. You've got to make the very, very best of what you've got. Going in there without Ronaldo and putting in, McFred and Bruno, it just isn't going to work. You need somebody to unlock. And then for me, I think Eriksen at 10 will be great for us. I trust Donny, but you could put Donny and Fred in there, could you? You could put Donny or Fred. You could. But I think Martinez, just for this particular game, we could utilise him better in the middle rather than at centre half. Just for this particular game. Now, there'll be a lot of people who completely disagree with me. It won't work, etc., etc. But sometimes thinking outside the box generates results. Because Potter probably won't be thinking about that. Potter will be lining up for De Gea, Shaw, Dallo, Martinez and Maguire, McFred, Bruno, and then whatever your front 3 is likely to be. I think he'll put Ronaldo in there, Sancho and Rashford. And I would imagine that's probably what Andrew would probably say, and which is fair.
You're going 1-0 or 2-0?
I'm going, if we go with that side, I think we'll beat them 2-0. I think we'll be too clever. You asked me a question about Martinez earlier on. What makes him a good centre half? Brain.
Yeah, that's why I think he's our best defender, because I think he's got the best brain of the lot. And he's most disciplined.
So people are talking about his height, blah, 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 blah.
Who cares?
Broken record. Question for you two. Who wins the most headers in the Manchester United first team? Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
Who gets on them in corners? Maguire. Who takes them from the Maguire? It's always Maguire. You don't need a tall centre half. What Martinez will do, and this is why he'd be great just for this one match in centre midfield, he can anticipate. He doesn't need to be always aggressive all the time. He can anticipate a challenge. He can anticipate where the ball's likely to be, and he can get there because he's quick.
I agree.
He's got a very low centre of gravity, and he can progress us. Now, if you've got Eriksen on the pitch, you've got Martinez on the pitch, I think Donny van der Beek could flourish. But okay, it doesn't have to be Donny. It could be Fred. But I think whoever's playing alongside those two will flourish. Yeah. And I think it will give Bruno a much more easier ride with having Eriksen alongside him or in the same side. Yeah. Rashford, Sancho, I think it's better. One other thing before I finish, sorry, Andrew, and I just want to focus your minds on something. There's been a slight shift in the way that teams are attacking now. And they've bought this off of Ten Hag and his use of Sebastian Haller.
Mm-hmm.
When Haller was in the Premier League, he was woeful at best. I mean, he was poor, wasn't he? Absolutely poor. Joe Linton. Look at the way Joe Linton was playing up front. Now he's a central midfield player. Look what he's doing. The way that Ten Hag used Haller, other managers are starting to look at it. You've got a target man at City now. You've got a target man at Liverpool now.
Yeah.
They're really interesting thoughts. So we're moving away from a slight target man just for a minute, because if you don't have Ronaldo and you don't have Martial, what else can you do? So that's my thought process behind it. I'm not saying I'm right, but I can just offer a thought process. Andrew, what do you think? Just out of interest, mate.
I think that's fair. Before jumping, Andrew, just going to say a couple of comments. Keane's went 2-1 United. He's went Rashford and Sancho. His lineup is De Gea, Dalot, Maguire, Martinez, Malacia, which is that's fair enough as a back five. McTominay, Fred in his holding roles, and then he's got Fernandes, Sancho, Ronaldo, Rashford as his front four. I respect that. And Hella's actually, she might have mentioned mine. She's went Garnacho, Rashford, and Sancho as her front three options. I respect that. I like that.
One touch on Garnacho. Just one touch on Garnacho, and I respect that hell. But just one touch. I would go absolutely apeshit if I was playing with him. And I'm in the first team. As good as he is, he's so young, he's not thinking.
Yeah.
Now, can you remember, was it Villa? No, not Villa.
Vallecano.
Maybe. Yeah, Vallecano. He cut in 3 times and could have passed and got Rashford in or whoever 3 times, but he delayed. Mm-hmm. You can't delay elite level football. You can't delay. Yeah. And again, I come back to something I said before. One shot, one goal could win you the game of football.
Yeah.
Lovely player. Get him in and around the first team. Not ready for a start, in my humble opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I don't think.
I think that'll come with experience over time. I think that will. I'm going to give the final comments to Andrew. So I'm just going to go right now. I'll just say for everybody, my score prediction tomorrow is 3-1. Doesn't matter about scores, like who scores, I don't really care. As long as we get the result, I think we win 3-1, but it will be tight in the first half. And then the second half, I think tired legs, we'll use the rotation with the 5 subs and we'll just blitz Brighton. But for me, I'm going De Gea, Dalot, Maguire, Martinez, Malacia, Fred, Eriksen, Sancho, Bruno, Garnacho, Rashford. I actually think starting might actually work. I would actually like to see him start, but I do get your point behind it. I really do, and I do understand that. I'll get to yours in a second. Andrew's 2 comments came in. First of all, Tony's went for his lineup. Dalot, Martinez, Maguire, Malacia in front of De Gea. Eriksen, Fred, Bruno, Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford. It's the exact same lineup I've went with, and United to win 2-1. And Keane's gone. This is coming from the recycling man. Manchester United are now desperate to sign. Manchester United are now desperate to sign Frankie de Jong. I'm just borrowing that from Andrew, and are really pushing with the player. So we'll see how that goes. But Andrew, I'm going to end it with you, of course. Your thoughts on Brighton, your lineup you would go with, the score prediction, and then I'll get you to shout your socials, and then we'll wrap up. So the floor is yours.
Hopefully it's the perfect start to the season tomorrow when we play Brighton. I mean, we're definitely going to make an improvement on last season. I mean, I think it was 13 points behind Tottenham, who we finished in 4th. So, I mean, even Brighton, our opposition Brighton, they finished 9th with 51 points. So they had a pretty much good season last
year. Best ever season.
Let's say, realistic, I know Ten Hag will not be able to turn us into title challengers overnight. In my heart, I'd love that to happen, but realistically, in my head, I know he's going to be expected to lead the top 4 charge this season. So challenging, the likes of Chelsea, Tottenham, and Arsenal for that position. So we only picked up like 58 points last season. So it's just like, I think it was like the lowest I think ever in our Premier League history. So it'd be interesting, after the Brighton game, because we've got Brentford away, Liverpool at home, and then Southampton away, where we are in the table, when we play Leicester at the beginning of September, where we all lie in the league. So And I mean,
Yeah.
like Brighton as well. I mean, I think they've had 5 pre-season friendlies. I think they've won 3, lost 1, and drawn 1 as well.
Yeah, they've been
So
steady.
they've been steady as well. I mean, they've had Basuma go and Cucurella as well. So could be like an advantage. So they're a bit weak in some areas. So I just think need to sort of get Brighton back for that 4-0 they dished out us back in May, because I went to that game and I just thought, I don't know whether we just made Brighton look that good or we were just
So destroyed.
Oh, it was
I always remember that day. It was like United were just the gift that kept on giving. We were just it's like Ronaldo. There's that clip of Ronaldo just like smirking. It was like, what can I do?
I went bowling that night. Fun enough, we were playing Brighton, and obviously big massive screen. It was like 80-inch in HD, watching goal after goal after. I was like, "Fuck this! Can you just turn it off?" So I'm only doing it once, but that was my exact reaction. Was like, "Can you just turn this off and put on something else like Countdown?" I ended up like hitting 3 strikes in a row. I ended up hitting like 3 strikes in a row out of anger from the 4th goal. So I was like, "That'll do nicely," but. For yourself, how would you line up tomorrow, and what was your score prediction?
I was going to say, in goal, definitely going to be De Gea. Right back, it's going to be Dalot. Centre backs, I'm going to go Maguire and Martinez. I think it's going to be those 2. I think Malacia is going to be the left back. I think he's done more than enough to push ahead of Luke Shaw.
It's only Malacia. I'm the only one I think that went with.
You're the only one that's picked Luke Shaw. Yeah,
he's got the chance. Only Malacia. Fair enough.
From what I've seen of him, and I just think I just want to see a bit more from Luke Shaw. So I'm like when Tellers came in, Luke Shaw just kicked on another level. Well, Luke Shaw's got to kick on even more now.
He's
do it again. This is the tricky. The midfield, I think he's going to put Fred and McTominay.
I can't say.
I think it will be them.
Oh, I can't.
Fair enough. What about your? Oh, he's changing his mind.
I think it's with Eriksen. I think because he's only had so many minutes. I'm just thinking he's not up to speed yet. So I think that's why it's McTominay and Fred. I think, and then the rest of the lineup would be, if he's okay, Sancho, and then Fernandes. Elanga and Rashford. I think he's going to put Rashford.
Are you going for Elanga?
I think he'll put Elanga.
That's a shout. That's a shout, isn't it?
Put Elanga on the right, Sancho on the left, because Sancho was more effective from the left last season than the right, even though we bought him to play on the right, which is. And I think Rashford, put him through the centre, and then I think hopefully we can see a goal through him, because I was looking up earlier. I was thinking the last goal Rashford scored was that last-minute winner against West Ham at home. It was like, I think if he scored tomorrow, he'd just start his season well for him. So,
which is what I hope as well. Because obviously, the one thing I want to see this year is I want to see the players who were, I think, in the most honest way I can comment, the ones who were absolutely abysmal. Our whole team was abysmal last year. I want to see us do better, and that's the key for me. And to wrap it, what is your score prediction, dude?
I'm going to go 2-0. I think Brighton. I think that first 20 minutes is going to be key. I think Brighton will try and come at us, and then if we can just settle in our game, get ahead, and then just control the game, and then I just want to see us playing good football. I'm just like, after what was last season, let's say just only a few highlighted moments, and they were probably much more like all Ronaldo's that like I could pick out. There was nobody else that really stood out last season besides those moments from Ronaldo. So, but
I agree.
I'm optimistic going into the season. It's going to be a lot better, and hopefully, in May, we might be celebrating. Well, getting back inside the top 4, maybe one of the trophies at the end of whether it's the FA Cup, League Cup, or even Europa League.
Let's hope so. Guys, it's been an absolute privilege hosting this one. To think the first preview of the season, I got the honour, I got the nod, I got the captain's armband.
And you've done a great job, mate. I enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. It's been an amazing show. Obviously, I'll just run through it. You can find Andrew there, Andrew_Wall, and you can find him on All for United. Good. And you can find Stu there as well, Stu Woolley on Twitter as well. Hit that like button, hit share and subscribe. And what's the best way to start a season?
Win.
Exactly. See you later, guys.